Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV. Delighted to be joined by, are you Irish now, Joe Parker?
Irish, Joseph Parker.
Do your accent. Go on, do your accent.
I don't have that. All I can say is, hello there. How are you? That's all I can say. That's it. I can't, if I try, I can't do it.
Every Irishman in the world will appreciate your attempt at that. How are you, Joe? How are you?
You know, I'm good. My family left Ireland yesterday for New Zealand. My wife is pregnant, four daughters, and she's on an airplane right now. I think she's about 4 hours from New Zealand, so it's a long journey, but we were able to spend 4 weeks here in Ireland together. I could see them every day after training, and now they're going back home while I prepare for this next fight, for Zhang.
Yeah, congratulations. There's nothing wrong, as we would say in England, there's nothing wrong with you, right? People say,
there ain't nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong with you, Joe, you know? So, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, listen, life is good. I'm here in Ireland training. Been here for 4 weeks, and we'll be heading over to Saudi soon to finish preparations for Zhang, and coming off a good win off Wilder, and on to the next challenge, on to the next big fight.
Let's go back to December 23rd. Like, we saw each other after the fight. We didn't kind of do like a proper interview. We caught a clip of yourself and Anthony Joshua after the fight, embracing, and kind of, yeah, just kind of a little reflection on your win there against Wilder. But your win over Wilder kind of then fucked up Joshua's plans for the Wilder fight. So it was like a little bit of like, he's probably thinking he's happy for you, but also at the same time he's messed the fight up with Wilder. But that fight there, Joe, I mean, look, I spoke to a lot of people during that week in Saudi. If I'm being honest with you, very few people gave you a shot in that fight.
Well, listen, a lot of people gave me no shot at all. And because of what Wilder has done in his fights, and because of the people he's knocked out, and everyone that he's faced, he's knocked down. And so a lot of people thought, this is just like a sacrificial lamb type fight, where I'm the guy that's going to come and get beaten. I've had a great career, and then the Joshua Wilder fight is going to be the next fight on the scene. So I think that was the story that everyone was waiting to unfold. And just with Andy and myself and George Lockhart, we were very confident because of the work we've done. And I think the most important thing is momentum. You know, when you're fighting often and you're always in camp and you're progressing, you're learning, and you're working on things, that was a huge benefit to myself and the team.
Something that's really aggravated me over the last couple of years, and it came about after the second Tyson Fury fight. And I remember I was in the locker room, dressing room with Team Fury after that fight, and Hughie Fury, Tyson's brother, said something that stuck with me. He said, look, in the morning, don't start downplaying Wilder now that Tyson's beat him. And I feel like, because obviously he's had those 2 losses to Tyson and obviously the draw, he's now lost to you. It's almost like, for some people, it's like, oh, was Wilder any good anyway? Like, people are downplaying Wilder when 2 or 3 years ago he was the most fearsome puncher and et cetera, and he still is a force in the heavyweight division. But have you seen that people are kind of, off the back of the 2 losses to Tyson and now the loss to you, they're almost questioning Wilder's credentials?
Listen, because he lost the fights to Tyson and he lost to me, I could see everyone questioning, was he even good? Listen, he is a devastating heavyweight, like heavy puncher. Absolutely. And he's done a lot in the division, and he's still got a lot to give, but just that night wasn't his night. And it was my night, and I worked very hard and I kept busy. And I guess, you know, I did everything right leading into that fight, and it just wasn't his night. But to question someone like Wilder and what he's done, I feel like that's a bit, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair.
I agree. And it's obviously, there's 2 sides to people kind of viewing your fight. You know, Wilder couldn't get off the right hand. But then again, the flip side to that is that you stopped him from doing it. And I think, like, if I speak to Andy Lee, this is what the plan, or part of the plan, was on the night to neutralise Wilder's biggest asset.
You know, when it was their fight week came down to the gym, and I said to Andy, what are we doing for training? And Andy said to me, this is probably Tuesday before the fight, and he said, I've been thinking, Joe, I think we should fight fire with fire. And I said to Andy, you know what? I was just been lying down in bed upstairs, and I was thinking, when he throws his right, I throw my right. And then from that day, we started working on throwing our right at the same time when he throws his right. And I guess what you're saying, what I'm trying to say is that we did do a lot of things to nullify what he was trying to do and trying to land that right hand. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's done now, and you know, he's past his prime and he wasn't any good. But trust me, he's very good and he punches very hard. And I was fortunate to be able to block all of them and not get caught.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like discrediting Wilder's performance on that night, and maybe he wasn't at his best, okay, but I think that kind of takes away your brilliant performance on the night. Like I said to you, whether people thought you were going to win or not, we can't. And even your performance as a whole, I think it kind of, by discrediting Wilder, it kind of takes away from that. And your performance tonight, your tactics from you,
KUGAN, everyone will have an opinion. Everyone will have an opinion, whether it's good or not. And we just got to, that's the way of life, and just got to accept everyone's opinion, whether it's negative or positive. And just as long, my thing is just go about my business, train hard, perform to the best of my ability, and enjoy what I'm doing.
Let me just drop back here to some comments now that Wilder has made, which I'm sure you would have seen. I'm assuming this was an interview. Oh, it was an interview with Eli Sekbak. I'm just going to quote here what Wilder said on his defeat to you, Joe. He said, "It was a boring fight. Nothing really happened. I went back to training the next day. He didn't really do anything. They just went off the little flurries or whatever. In the training for that, I had to travel 2 times, 20 hours of traveling. And those guys were already in Europe. They were only 2 or 3 hours away. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying what I had to go through."
Yeah, listen, every fighter has to go through different things in camp. Before my camp, we locked in the fight, and I flew 17 hours to Dubai. I had 3 hours, and then I flew 8 hours to Ireland to start my training camp. And I was, you know, jet lagged for a week. And but listen, all these things that's what a fighter goes through. And if it's good or not, it is what it is. It's all part of life, and it's all part of camp, and it's all part of preparing for a fight.
Did it sound to you, though, that he was using, I know he said he wasn't complaining there, did it sound to you, by even mentioning that he was using that as a reason or part of the reason why he lost the fight, or not?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where he's coming from with that, but I do know that he did travel back and forth. You know, we had to do the promotion, and we had to do everyone dressing like zombies and makeup and everything. And there was a lot of time traveling. And I know that when I traveled to Saudi for the fight, that it took me a while to adjust to the Saudi time. So they're traveling around, and jet lag is a real thing. But I guess as a professional fighter, and then you have a team around, you have to make the right decision of when you have to be there, and allow yourself the time to adjust and get used to the time zone and wherever you're fighting.
There's no one better that knows the power of Deontay Wilder as does Tyson Fury. We know he floored him multiple times over the space of 3 fights. But from your perspective, do you feel like you felt his power in that fight at all?
I did feel the power, but it didn't land how he wanted it to land. And you know, leading into that fight, we spent time here in Ireland training for 3 weeks. And then we flew over to England, and I felt like the most important part in that whole camp was the sparring I did with Tyson. He gave me probably the best. He gave me the best rounds I've ever had, and the best rounds to prepare for that fight. And then going to Saudi Arabia, finishing off the training there, I felt like everything I did in the camp and with Tyson and giving his advice and Andy's plan, everything just fell into place.
Was it ever discussed after your win? On the 23rd, was the rematch ever discussed as a potential for your next fight? No.
There was no rematch discussed. I was straight on to Zhang. And the next tough fight, whatever fight was available, Zhang was the only one available. So we said, yep, I'll take that fight. And just another challenge after another challenge.
There were rumours that before your fight was announced against Zhang, that there was potentially Wilder was going to fight Zhang. I don't know how true they are, whether that was realistic or so, but obviously that's not the case, and you are fighting Zhang, who's hot topic at the minute, in good form, obviously those wins against Joe Joyce. So you're not holding back here, you're not asking for a little gimmick fight here off the back of a a Wilder fight, you're going in with a very, very live opponent in Zhang.
It's good to go in with someone like Zhang because he's coming off two good wins off Joe Joyce, and you're right, he's hot at the moment, and probably I am as well from a good win with Wilder. So I think this is going to be a very important fight with both of us. And you know, I've been in boxing for over 10 years, and I like to challenge myself. And these types of fights like really lift my game and makes me want. I don't know. I just want to. I really want it. You know, like I was champion before. But now I just feel like I want it way more, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, not to say that people would ever forget, but obviously you have been a world champion, a WBO world champion. Andy Ruiz was there that night in Saudi. He was calling at that point for a trilogy with Anthony Joshua. You yourself obviously have been in the ring quite a few years ago now, it seems, with Anthony Joshua. Is that something? I'm not asking you to kind of even. We know you're not overlooking Zhang. We know that's the
yeah. But listen, I tried to get the Joshua fight straight after. Our team reached out and said, "Hey, listen, if you want us to be the next opponent for Joshua, then
okay."
Yeah, but it didn't come into fruition. You know, I think Joshua and his team and Eddie Hearn went down the route they're going down now, and they got Francis Ngannou, which is, I believe, it's going to be a tough fight. Francis can take a punch, and he's got power, and he's preparing the best he can for this, like he did with Tyson.
Yeah, Joe, are you saying that kind of your first port of call after the Wilder win was to explore the possibility of that rematch with Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, I thought whoever won again, Wilder and myself and Joshua and Wallen would be the next fight. But I guess it's just it's the way things are. You can always think one way and then something else happens. So you just got to go with it.
Did you find it disrespectful that their fight was already signed prior to your fight?
I didn't really care. I didn't care. Like I heard that the fight was already signed. It was a 2-fight deal with mega money. I didn't really care about what happened. Like things are always happening behind the scenes. You know, whether you're fighting or whether you already fought or not. There's always deals that are in place and things already lined up and other fighters being spoken about fighting each other. But I didn't really care. Like what I care about is just what I'm doing.
Last week, or the week before, should I say now, the heavyweight division and kind of what's happening in the immediate future was thrown into turmoil with the news of Tyson Fury's cut, which has delayed the Alexander Usyk fight. Tyson took some stick on that first 24 hours before he came out publicly with Turki Al-Sheikh, Igor Klimas and Usyk. But for 24 hours, there was a lot of kind of negative comments going towards Tyson Fury that he'd cut himself and all this kind of rubbish, which I'm sure you would have seen. I mean, like
I saw a lot of it. Yeah, I don't think you can escape
on fire that day.
I don't think you can escape seeing the opinions and the comments, and a lot of people talked real bad about him, and saying it's a fake car and he made it happen. But listen, everyone has an idea, everyone has an opinion, everyone wants to say this and say that and think they know what's happening. But it's boxing. These things happen. It's a freak accident, and just it's good that they've postponed the fight and not given the fight to anyone else, because we do want to see that fight happen. And I know it will happen. There's things in place now where if someone pulls out of the fight, there's something that they have to deal with. So it will happen. May 18th.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people out there kind of putting out that, oh, does it still happen? I believe it happens on the 18th. I think there's too much at stake. Listen, things happen. We know things that happen, but then it's almost like things happen, like what happened to Fury, and then you're trying to convince now the public, oh, actually, this did happen. Like, what do you want me to do? We've seen the cut. We've heard kind of people like cut experts explain how long that's going to heal. Hopefully that's all right. And that fight, I believe, does happen on May the 18th.
It is going to happen. But everyone will think one thing, and then they're just going to say what they think and stick to it because that's what they believe. They believe what's going on in here. So as much as we can give truth and give evidence, and this is exactly what happened, that is what it is. People are going to believe what they want to believe.
Of course. Your fight night is obviously quickly approaching on March the 8th. which is incidentally, just for everyone to know, that is a Friday night. That's not a Saturday, it's a Friday night in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, just coming to this Joshua Ngannou fight, do you think Ngannou can shock Joshua on the night? Is that a
I
possibility?
feel like he has a big chance. I feel like he's, you know, from the fight he had with Tyson and the confidence that he got from his performance. And he's already in Saudi Arabia, and we can see a lot of training videos that he's putting into work. And he's a professional. He's been a champion before, and you know, in the UFC. I know boxing is different, but he's giving it his full attention. And so, boxing is boxing. You never know what's going to happen.
Just before we finish, obviously, yeah, this is a huge fight and a very interesting fight. I say on this undercard, it feels like a disjustice to be saying that this fight is on an undercard, because it could headline anywhere, yourself and Zhang. But I mean, you're looking into them Joe Joyce wins. I'm sure Andy Lee has studied both those wins, as he does, being a student of the game. But Zhang, we know his age, but at the moment it seems like kind of momentum is with him. But you're just assuming you're preparing for the very best version of Zhang.
Preparing for the very best Zhang. I know a lot of people are saying 40 and he's old and he's going to fade. And then a lot of people are favoring him. Then a lot of people are saying, I'm young, hungry, got speed, movement. We're doing the best prep. And I feel like with each camp, I've just gone up and up and up. And there's only one way to prove that I've gone up and up and up, is to show it on fight night. And I believe going to Saudi Arabia soon and finishing prep there, I'm going to be primed and ready for another good performance. I'm not underestimating him. I don't think he's old and slow. And listen, Zhang's coming with momentum, like you said, and he's on point. So I want the best Zhang there is, because he's going to bring out the best in me.
How much of a difference has Andy Lee made to your game?
Andy Lee, training with Andy for the last 2-3 years, now I'm finally understanding what he's trying to teach me. It takes a while to ingrain things, because there's already other things that have been ingrained in me. And then I believe George Lockhart and Andy Lee together are the magic recipe for me, and a good performance and being in tip-top shape.
I still feel Andy Lee is very underrated. I don't think people give Andy Lee as much credit as he should deserve. He doesn't care about that stuff. We know Andy Lee isn't one to like, oh, look at me, I'm the trainer. We know that about Andy Lee. But at the same time, I feel there's a bit of underrating going on with the work that Andy Lee's done, not just with yourself, but you know, other
Andy Lee, listen, and I'm thankful to Tyson, because he's the reason why Andy and I are together. You know, when I was looking for a trainer after my junior fight, I was looking for another trainer. I just needed something new. No disrespect to my old trainer. We had great times. We were champion of the world, and I just needed something new. So I called Tyson. I said, like, who do you reckon I should train with? I got these guys in mind. And he said, don't train with any of them. I got the right person for you. One thing led to the next. 5 days later, I'm on an airplane to fly to Ireland and meet Andy for the first time.
Wow.
It was quick. I left my trainer, and I was on an airplane 5 days later to fly to Ireland and meet Andy and prepare for Chisora 1. We only had 5 weeks.
Wow. And
you haven't
looked back since?
Nah, because everything's been great.
Okay, well, listen, Joe, appreciate you speaking to IFL TV so close to your fight. The next time we will speak to you will be in Saudi Arabia. Joe, just one more question. If you're going to sum up the fight between yourself and Zhang in 5 words, no more than 5 words, what do you say? I will bang the big bang. Was that 6?
That's 6 words.
That's all right. You can have an extra.
I will bang big bang.
I will bang big Zhang. There we go. All right. There we go. I love this question because it actually gets people thinking about how many words. How many words you can use here? I will bang big Zhang or big bang. That's it. Either one. Joseph Parker, thank you very much for your time, and we will see you in Saudi Arabia very shortly, my friend. Thank you very much.
Wall Street Memes Casino
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.